Okay, Boker Tov, everybody. This is the second class for today, Tuesday, November 1st, 2022. We said it was Zion. I forgot. Sorry, Zion. Zion Ram Cheshvan. It's Chet. Oh no, I guess we don't know. I'll give it to you after because I'm not exactly sure what piece I'm going to do yet, but I'll give it to you after. So, and I'm Riva Muna. We are recording live in Svat at Rachel Bracha Center. So we had the first class, for those of you who are wanting the recordings, was all in Hebrew, Ivit Beivit. And it was, we were studying the Piazetzner Rebbe's Sefer called Bnei Machshava Tova, how to build conscious, hi Chamasara, how to build conscious community. And I'm not sure what we're doing in the second class. I could tell you what I have. I mean, definitely we're going to be diving into Parsha. So we have Kabbalah, we have Chassidut, but then at the last minute, I grabbed some of Rabbeinu's teachings on Tiltul Unasiot L'Drachim because it's Lech Lecha, right? About traveling, physical traveling, spiritual traveling. And the last thing that I brought, which again I thought could be very profound, is one of my favorites from I use it a lot. It's called Otsal Ishe HaTanach. And it's it takes anybody who's mentioned in Tanakh and gives a whole leket of wherever they appear throughout Torah, in Midrash, in Gemara, in Zohar, right? And that's often what I use to prepare my classes, because it allows you to sort of slice and dice and mix and weave and see what you get from all these different insights to this person and their life. So I love that. So I was sort of, we did a lot on Sarah Imenu last year. There's always more, right? But I thought it was kind of interesting to maybe look at Abraham Avinu. Yeah. So is that how does that feel to anybody here? What's calling to anybody? At you, I know. And what's calling to anybody else? Anybody feel called? Yeah, we're doing Parsha, but this is all connected to Parsha. So Avraham Avinu, we're definitely, so I think that I'm going to just trust my rhythm. I think I'm going to begin with, and again, we'll see where we go. I did also bring some meditations, and I did bring some somatic experience exercises, because I am really wanting to take it out of our heads. But it also has a life of its own. So we'll see. I'm really liking this learning earlier. I'm even like, let's push it back to 8. It just gives us a whole day, and we can, I'm thinking in my head, like, as it gets colder, maybe I could bring soup, and people, like, in other words, like, we're going to be here all day learning, it could really become, I don't know, obviously we have to talk, but we're going just backwards the other way, like you're not staying longer, but maybe coming earlier. Okay, so of course we're in Lech Lecha, and I feel like I want to start with the Rebbe, and that will build on the Rebbe's umbrella picture. So we are in the Netivot Shalom. It's Slonim Rebbe. So beautiful. You know, because yesterday's class, the Wi-Fi was really, I don't think you'll get much out of the recording, anybody. Sorry, it was going in and out. Yehudi Goldfarb did record it on her phone. If anybody wants that recording, please, or maybe someone can just contact Yehudi and ask her to put it on the chat. And there's so I want to do all of it. Sorry, I'm just one called me. That's what I think of. It's up to everybody.
Yeah. Is it bothering you? I can turn the light off there.
I don't love what do you call it? Fluorescent lighting. So so maybe we'll do like a little tiny warm up, and then I see the piece that I think would probably be really important. Okay, so let's just take a moment to Lech Lecha, to come to ourselves, to land. Something that's calling me very strongly is I have several friends right now that are possibly in the process of maybe getting divorced. And I spoke with someone also this morning about that being a possibility. And something that came up on Shabbos at the sunrise meditation was the work of Byron Katie. Sorry, I'll try to speak up. And it's called The Work, right? And someone there mentioned that even in very extreme situations, such as really extreme abuse, Byron Katie would say, even if the other person is at fault, so to speak, 97%, there's still that 3% of our avodah. That, in other words, the story is happening for us. And it's easy to just get sidestepped and say, when they change, things will get better. If they can change, if they can show up differently, if they can come into their higher self, if they can take accountability, right? And sometimes we do need to get divorced. Obviously, it's a mitzvah to get divorced when it's the right path. And yet, even if we do get divorced, Shalom, we still have the invitation of the 3% of where we are in the story and what it was. I don't mean 3% isn't beating ourselves up and feeling guilty. I mean learning about ourselves and our patterns and what we contributed to the story, consciously and unconsciously. And of course, if we're in a relationship, then we are contributing, right? So there's always going to be, and why am I saying this? Because Lech, hi sweetheart, good morning. Because Lech Lecha, we waste energy when the focus is on the other person. When the focus is on, when Lech Lecha, right? We waste energy when our focus is on what do they need to do to change? What's their tshuva? We call that in 12 steps taking someone else's inventory, right? And we as women and wives often do see deeply what the other person could do to change, right? We're Bina. Bina is to see the future, and Bina is to see how we're building something and what needs to change in order to build. Like, we do have that vision, but it's not really ever so useful to keep focusing that on the other person because we have our own nachala. Lech, lach, right? Our journey is on the most intimate level with Hashem, and only Hashem on some level, right? In other words, our neshama, our body, our midot. And we can also get a lot more freedom and clarity when we just keep coming back to our avoda, and Hashem will work out the rest. If I'm waiting for him to change, for him to take accountability, for him to do tshuva, for him to be willing to go to therapy, right? I could be waiting forever. And I don't even mean that to sound as funny as it sounds, right? And I won't really know how to move forward because the only thing I have control over is my lech lecha, my lech lach, my own inner journey. And as I change, it's very likely, it's not likely, it's for sure the other person will change, but we just don't know in what way. Will it bring us closer, or will it become clearer that the path is divorce? We don't know, but for sure change will happen. And that's the only way we can really change anything, is our own avoda. Right? Where are we in our midot? Where are we in our emunah, right? Where are we in our healing process? And by the way, when I say this, I mean it with such love and tenderness. I don't mean where are we at fault? Where are we to blame? Where are we bad? Where are we guilty? I'm not at all saying that. I'm saying we're contributing because we're wounded and we're blocked and we're suffering, right? And we're confused and we're hurting. And that's going to be part of what we're bringing and putting into the relationship. And it's going to move the energies in a certain way, right? So that our only avodah is to go like an Abraham Avinu journey inside and meet ourselves, right? And it starts to really shift things in such a deep way. And soon we're going to meet Leah, right? When I mean soon, in the Parshiot, right? And Leah had to do this journey of moving away from being a yatzanit, looking outside of herself, right? Remember, she's like, I don't want to marry an Esav. I don't want to marry an Esav. That was beautiful. All her tefillah around that, right? But even after she marries a Yaakov, it didn't solve her problems because she still had her own inner pain. Remember, she's Esav's real soulmate. So if she's his real soulmate, that means she was his energetic match in chaos and tohu and bohu and sadness, right? Leah means to be exhausted. Her neshama was exhausted, right? Exhausted. It does the Mefarshim say it means to be exhausted, weary of life. Leah means to be weary of life. Of course she's weary because she has lights of tohu and no vessels. So you can't ever land. You can't ever rest. So of course, right? There's weariness. Rachel finally, right, has ability to make a vessel. Bina is it's a process to make vessels. So maybe one of the most sensitive ways we can begin is that all we really have is our Lech Lecha journey. That is all we have. Where the haaretz asher el Lecha, where it will lead us, we have no idea. But we can relax into that, because if we know we're in our own Lech Lecha journey, we can't do more than that. So the hashgacha that will fall out from that, we can trust it, because we can trust that I can't do more, but I also can't do less than my own Lech Lecha journey, right? And that is the greatest gift we can gift each other with. And it is the greatest gift that a woman can gift her husband with. Because if we don't have vessels for ourselves, it's very difficult to be a vessel for him. Right? And then it's like vice versa. We keep trying to land in him, but he's not the vessel. He's the light. So we have to learn, I don't like the word have to. We're invited. We're invited. Okay. So I think we're just going to be skipping around and weaving, because that's where I'm feeling Lech Lechad, right? And the promise is always the Urim V'Tumim, the path forward lights up as we keep taking the next Lech Lecha step. But you understand, it's not Lech Lo or Lech Eleha, it's Lech Lecha, Lech Lech. Go inside, meet yourself, meet your own strength, your own light, your own pain, your own fears, your own resentments, your own anger, your own self-doubt, your own, if you have it, self-loathing. Meet your own patterns, because that's all any of us could ever be responsible for. Kol Yisrael Aravim Zeh Lezeh, yes, but it begins with even Avraham Avinu, who's that Avraham Kol HaGoyim. It begins with him having his own journey to finding Hashem inside of him. And Leah's tikkun happens when she moves from being a Yatzanit, looking for it on the outside, looking for Yaakov to love her, even turning to Hashem and saying, can you please make this man love me? Could you please make this man see me? Right? And Hashem's like, I love you, my daughter, but I don't work like that. You meet you. And as you meet you, everything changes. And then we'll see. You'll know when you know. So good, right? Okay. So we're in the Netivot Shalom, the Slonim Rebbe. The first mimer, and we're going to jump around a little bit, okay? I'm just want to check the time that we started. Good, okay. Vayomer Hashem el Avram. Notice right away, there's no hey in his name, which means he has no vessel. He has light with no vessel. Good. That's something beautiful to notice right away. So what is his journey? To grow some vessels. What do we mean by vessels? An ability, a ratzon, number one, a ratzon. Ratzon sinor, right? Our will creates the capability to receive something, to hold it, to be with it. Right? Number two, what we mean by a vessel is an ability to be in process, not have something right here, right now, but go on a journey. And a journey, and thank you so much to Lecha, because she really gave this to me yesterday. This is my new mantra. I don't know, and it's all going to be okay. For me, not knowing, if a person like me who has a lot of, I don't know, I guess fear around not being, knowing what's going to happen in my space at any moment. Sometimes if we have trauma like that, we can become hyper vigilant. We're just always trying to know what's coming next, so we can prepare. And our biggest fear is to be blindsided by something coming at us and we're not ready, right? Hashem is doing healing around that this week. We can't ever fully control what comes at us. We can start to get stronger on the inside, have a vessel. We can't control other people's reactions. We can't control if they like us, if they accept us, if they judge us, what they say about us, how they treat us. What we can do is start to build a vessel for ourselves. Where do we go if or when that happens? How do we find refuge inside and find Hashem in those moments?
I have a question. I don't know what you mean by the vessels will create new vessels. I mean, Abraham obviously had a lot of wealth. He went into that furnace and he was very strong about what he wanted. What are you saying?
Well, that was the beginning of his journey. All journeys begin with a will. Even something as simple as I want an apple, right? If I want an apple, I'm creating a space inside my life for an apple. If I don't want an apple, I can't have a relationship with it because I don't want. In other words, I'm pushing it out of my sphere, out of my experience. If I want an apple, I'm carving a space inside of me to be able to receive an apple. Does that make sense? What I mean by Ratzon and Sinor? Yeah? Okay. Because you don't have to be a good girl. You could be like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay.
What do you mean by Sinor?
An ability to receive it. A receptor. I can't receive something unless I have a receptor for it, even on a biochemical level, right? I have to have a space where I can take it in, where I can be with it, where I can allow it. Otherwise, I can't connect to it. So far, so good? Okay. So what do we mean by this hay of a vessel, right? So what do we mean by vessels? And of course, in this state, Avraham can't conceive, right? He's stuck energetically. He has no hay in his name yet, right? He has this beginning of this love for Hashem, but it's locked inside. He can't go in, he can't go out. Okay? Does that make sense what I'm saying? So by vessel, we also mean the process of building a vessel. Number one is process, right? Number two is patience and time, right? When we're building vessels, we're building the ability to wait. We're building the ability to not know. We're building the ability of patience. We're building trust. And we're building the ability to receive, even when we don't understand yet what we're receiving. Obviously, we're talking about receiving when we're trusting that it's light. But really, it gets deeper, right? receiving what Hashem is bringing us and the way that Hashem is unfolding it and the way Hashem is directing it. So one of Avraham Avinu's biggest energetic lessons, remember, Ma'aseh Avot Siman Lebanim. We have Avraham inside of us. Every part of Keter and Chesed in us is an expression of the energy of Avraham Avinu. It's not just Avraham Avinu, the person, it's also Avraham Avinu, the Pautzuf, the energy of Chesed and loving kindness and Keter, right? Unity and perfect love and flow and connection. So part of what Avraham Avinu is learning about Hashem is whenever we start the journey begins with, I am not the director. I am not the writer and the screenplay. I am a player in this whole play. But I am not the director. There is a director. So there is a power that is much greater than my own will. And when I can link my will from love to the will of the greatest power of love, then I will start to be in resonance to know what the next right step is, because I'm in resonance with the source of love. But if I think that I'm directing things and I'm controlling, and I'm controlling the other person and how they change and what they need to change and what they should think and what they should feel and what they should eat and what they should wear and what, right? Then I might be out of sync with the one, right? Because I'm blinded by my desire, my need to control, usually from fear, usually just a fear response. Knowing feels safer. This entire parsha, Hashem is going to be showing Avraham, right? The deeper you cannot know, the more I can change.
The more who can change.
The more I, Hashem, can change you, change your life, change your nature, change your story. The deeper you can not know. Remember, Avraham Avinu says, B'ma eda, but how will I know? And Hashem says, oh, okay, we have a little bit more work to do, right? Because remember, he takes Avraham Avinu this week above his astrological map, above Mazal, above Teva, above what we think is possible, right? Because the astrological map is a snapshot of our psyche that we came into the world with, right? But he's showing him, right? What does Avraham Avinu do? He breaks all the avodah zarah, meaning energy is not crystallized and fixed. We can redirect the flow, not from our own might and will, the opposite, from stepping into Hashem's flow and being like soft, melty wax. Okay. Vayomer Hashem el Avram, Lech Lecha, me'artzecha, u'mimoladetecha, u'mibeit avicha, el haaretz asher erecha. You'll know when you know. For most of us, this is maybe the most difficult part of the entire spiritual journey. Stepping into not knowing. Not knowing. I don't know if I daven one more time, if it will save my marriage or if I'll still get divorced. Or I don't know. But I have to just keep moving towards light, towards wholeness, towards the better version of myself. And where it lands and falls, I don't know. I wanted to go back a second and say that he picked Avram Avinu up above the stars, which is a remnant. Avram Avinu, maybe some of us don't know, was a master astrologer. He was like, people would come from all over. He himself was a master. He knew that he couldn't have kids. You understand? He knew, right, what his life would look like. Except that's one level of knowing, right? And then Hashem picks him up above his astrological map, which is to say, you can go beyond your own story of the beliefs that limit us. Now, I don't mean this like the secret, like you can force Hashem's will by just forcing your will and getting what you want. That's the law of attraction. That's not what I'm talking about. It's connected, it's similar, it's a hair's breadth, and it's everything, the difference, right? We mean by deeply having that intimate dveikut on the inside, right? That starts to melt away the crystallized energies of our inner beliefs. What we really believe, how good we are or not, how worthy or not, how lovable or not, what can change, what can't. And we start to soften into all of that, knowing that all of those things are in place to set me up for a relationship of dveikus. So when I keep moving towards dveikut, I don't know what's going to happen to all the outer circumstances because they were only there to move me into the dveikus. Does that make sense? Sorry, somebody wrote something in the chat. Abraham through Sarah's eyes. I didn't understand. Say more if you want me to.
No, I'm sorry. I was just, because you had said you just wanted to focus on Abraham instead of Sarah. So I thought I put the two together. Sorry, that was from before.
Okay, sorry. Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Okay. Ita bamidrash. So it's brought down in Bereshit Rabbah, Lamed Tet. Amar Rabbi Levi, Shte pe'amim ketiv Lech Lecha. Ve'ein anu yodim ezo chaviva im hashni'a im harishona. So it's brought down in the Medrash of Bereshit Rabbah that Rabbi Levi says the word Lech Lecha is repeated twice, obviously, right? And we don't know is the call, the language of love, right? Is it coming on the first Lech or on the Lecha, right? Because we can also read it Lech Lech, okay? Mima dichtiv el eretz hamoria have hashniya chaviva min harishona. He says, because it says to go to the land of Moriah, so it seems that it's the second, like, where are you going, right? What is he asking? He's saying, is it the you that's important here? Or is it the where you're going that's important here? That's what he's asking. So he says, so we might think that it's the El Eretz Moriah, it's where you're going. It's the destination. It's getting there that's important. It's really mamish deep what he's asking, right? Am I journeying anywhere because I've already decided what I want and I'm trying to get Hashem to give me that? So I'm trying to manipulate to get that outcome. That's one way, right? Or is the journey the Lech? To just keep going towards dveikus, keep going towards light, keep going towards your avodat hamidot. What happens on the outside, where it goes, circumstances, we don't know. Okay, So he says like this. והיינו, דמסתפק בין שני הניסיונות שנאמרו בלשון לך לך, איזה גדול וחביב יותר. Right? It's again, we're asking, which is harder, which is deeper, which is the real test? אם הניסיון של לך לך מארצך וממולדתך ומבית אביך, או ניסיון העקדה. So here he's saying, what was harder? To leave all of those old patternings behind him, right? All the different levels of the different patternings, right? The different belief systems, all the different experiences in life that had given me a kind of solid knowing that I keep working out from of who I am, what's possible for me, what's not possible for me, right? Where I am in the world, how I'm seen, how I'm experienced, what I deserve, what I'm worthy of, what I'm not. He says, what's harder, to break through all of that or the Akeda experience? What was harder? Or the Akeda, right? What was harder? ולכאורה, תמוהה ביותר, איך אפשר לדמותם בכלל? He says, whoa, it seems like, how could you even compare these two things? הלא ניסיון העקדה הוא למעלה מכל השגה? He says, isn't the Akeda above and anything and everything else? Be able to understand it at all? ויותר קשה אצל אדם מלמסור נפשו עצמו, ובמיוחד על פי מה דאית בספרים הקדושים, במה אמר כתוב, קח נא את בנך, את יחידך, אשר אהבת את יצחק. Okay. So here's what I'm hearing. Part of what he's saying is, what's harder, to get out of the way and work through all of our old patternings of what we believe we are, what's possible, or to get what we never believed is possible and to face Hashem possibly taking it away. We never believed it was possible in the first place. And then it happened. And now Hashem might take it away. So after all the work to break my patterns, to believe that something is possible beyond my stuckness, to open to Me'al HaTeva, right? And Hashem gives him a son at right 90 and 99, right? And like, look, it works. The system works. I did all this work and I cracked the code, right? You understand? You understand that's why he's saying which test is harder? I think the second test is way harder, right? But this is part of what he's saying. What's harder? Well, it depends on what was the journey to begin with. Was the journey to get what we wanted, or was the journey to build Vekus and Emunah? You understand? I can hardly say this without crying because it's so raw, right?
Can you see that last sentence again?
Yeah. Is the journey to follow a spiritual path so I can get what I want? Because I've already decided that that's going to make me happy, or that's the happy ending, or that will bring me close to God. But what if I don't know? What if I don't know? And I'm really saying what I want is to be close to you, God. And I don't know if it's by having that son or not having that son, or having the son given or having the son taken. I don't know. Need so much courage to walk this path, yeah? הלא ניסיון העקדה הוא למעלה מכל השגה, ויותר קשה אצל אדם מלמסור נפשו עצמו, ובמיוחד על פי מה דאית בספרים הקדושים, ומה אמר הכתוב, קח נא את בנך, את יחידך, אשר אהבת, את יצחק. שבאותה שעה שאמר לו הקדוש ברוך הוא, אשר אהבת, נתלבשה כל מידת האהבה שישנה בעולם באהבתו ליצחק. Says, in the moment that Hashem said, take your son, your one son, your only son, the son that you love, says, in the moment that he says, the son that you love, all of the love all of the love of all the years he waited and all the years he davened and all the years he thought it was not possible, and then maybe it is possible, and right, all of that love in that moment was like shining and illuminating through Yitzchak, right? Ve'ein shayach klal leharich godel hanisayon hazeh. It's not even, we don't even have to say, what a huge test, right? Ve'ech shayach lehistapek ezo chaviva. And we can't even imagine the level of love. Od yesh lomar bazeh, omru lecha, ve'im be'inyanenu perush Rashi lecha, להענתך ולטובתך, הרי במה שאמר כתוב, לך לך לארץ מוריה, אין שייך פירוש זה. Right? And he says, one second, if we want to, remember Rashi says, what does lech lecha mean? It means go for your own pleasure, for your own benefit, for your own joy, for your own happiness. Okay, good, that's nice. Because if we're going to use that perush, then how could it possibly be to go to the Akedah is for his pleasure, his deepest hana'ah and tovatcha. Well, maybe we don't know what hana'ah and tovatcha is. Okay. Oh, yesh lomar, jehine matzinu b'torat gimel pa'amim, דיבר השם אל אברהם בלשון הליכה, לך לך מארצך וממולדתך ומבית אביך, התהלך לפניי והיה תמים, ולך לך אל ארץ המוריה בניסיון העקדה, ויש לומר המשמעות בזה. He says 3 times Hashem says to Abraham, it's time to move on. But the nisayon now is to move, is to allow, is to not know and keep going. The first one is Lech Lecha to Moriah. The second one is to walk with me and stay innocent and stay whole, right? Means just keep going and dvekus with me, even though you have no idea what's happening here, what I'm doing, what I'm making of you, where I'm bringing you, what the outcome is now. So I'll share something like yesterday. I was having a private conversation with somebody, and I was sharing with them that this is very common with a traumatized attachment style. Okay. So like everything, we have the polarities. There's healthy attachment style, where we know how to healthy relationship in healthy ways. And we have an attachment disorder of codependence, right? Where it's called a fearful attachment style. And it shows up as a way of being like overly attached, right? I don't want to use judgy words because I don't like them, but in the most loving way, let's say needy, right? Needy always has such a judgment to it. I can't stand it, but let's be gentle with it, right? Needing to receive, needing closeness, needing reassurance, right? And needing security. And on the other side, we have the avoidant personality type, which is somebody who's so afraid of not being lovable or getting love and having the love taken away from them that they never allow themselves to ever let the love in to begin with. Right? 2 ways of how we deal with what if I get what my heart has most been yearning for, and Hashem takes it away. So one is, I'll hold it with all my might, I'll sit on it. I won't let it go for a second, I'll lock the doors. And the other one is, meh, I don't need, who needs it anyway? I never loved you anyway, right? Right, and he says, oh, wow, but ooh, it's always that middle path, that middle, beautiful, healthy path. Can I keep my heart open? Can I be receptive and let go of control of where the love is going to take us? Oh boy. Oh boy. That's he's saying. That's an Nisayon. Right. So all three times it's the same Nisayon. Can you remain and flow with me and not know?
What was the second?
The first is Haramoria. The second is walk with me and be Tamim. When he says to him, when Hashem says to Avram Avinu, Hitalech lefanai v'heya tamim. By the way, listen to this lashon. Remember that Noah walked what? Next to. He's like, at least I know you're there, right? He tells Abraham, you go first, I'll be right there. I'll catch up later. You go. You walk the path that you think is your spiritual path, and I'll be there soon. You understand what courage? And the third one is when he tells him to go to the Akedah. Do you hear? He's saying all three are successively keep going without knowing. Ooh, bumper sticker. Right? But he says, and each one is a harder Nisayon because we have to give up being the director to an ever and ever deepening level. The first one was give up all your constricted beliefs of what you think is possible, right? But then we do that and we get the thing and we're like, woo, it worked, right? And then Hashem's like, okay, now I need you to go a little deeper. And keep going, and I'm behind you, not in front of you and not next to you, right? And then the third one is now in the spiritual path where you got the dream, you got the marriage, you got the child, you got to make aliyah, you got the dream. What would happen now? What would it do to your relationship to Hashem if then Hashem steps in and says, could you trust me further? What if I would move that around right now? Right? Could you still trust me? Could you still keep going that there is infinite love and light beyond and through that form of what you think my love for you has to look like? It's so painful. I mean, I'm just watching everybody's face here, right? And it's so much love and it's so much trust, right? What if all of that was just to get you to the next spiritual level? And by spiritual level, we mean love. We don't believe in a spiritual system that's like suffering purges you, blah, 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 right? There is suffering, right? But it's always from a point and a place of the deepest kindness and compassion and love, right? It's such a tall order.
Yeah, well, it's such a tall honor. It's also what the Jewish people have wished for over and over and over again.
Is it
And
raining?
kept going.
Is it raining? Oh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shekocho ugvurato malei olam. Remember our rain class? This is an Eitot song. This is when the Mayim Dukvin and the Mayim Nukvin are in Zivug. Who wants to make a Tov Me'ametiv? Remember our rain class? Who wants to make a Tov Me'ametiv? Anybody? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hatov v'hametiv. Why? Do you remember what we learned in the rain class? That if we're planning a picnic or we have a chuppah and it starts raining, we might see Hashem taking something from us that we wanted. But we're able to receive the rain and say, you give good, and you even give beyond that good to a next higher level of good. This is amazing. This is happening right now because he's saying, could you have the heart and the eyes that the Akeda is the next level of Hatov and Amitiv? By the way, it's an Eid Ratzon right now. The Gemara in Ta'anit, Daf Zayin and Daf Chet says, when it rains, especially Gishmei Bracha, it's an Eid Ratzon. So everybody just take a minute and go inside. And remember, he says, don't just pray, don't just thank Hashem for the rain. Thank for everything, because the rain is the semel of everything that Hashem gives us. And remember, we learned in the Gemara, he says, if you think that it's just an Eid Ratzon for the rain, he says, no, once the Otsal Matnat Chinam, once the king's treasury is opened, the king's treasury is opened. And as the son and the daughter of the king, you could ask for anything when the king's treasury is open. So everybody just take a moment. Raindrops on roses and whiskers. Right. Hashem is inviting us into what would happen to my whole spiritual path if I never get what I wanted? And what about if I get what I wanted and then Hashem rearranges all of it? What does that bring out in me? What can it bring out inside of me? In Avraham Avinu, it kept bringing out deeper and deeper levels of love and trust. And we have that Parzuf inside of us. Right? We have it inside of us.
Really, we're only here because of all people who,
Who did it? Who did it, right? And our children will also only be here as we can stretch and try to move, allow a little bit more of this in. It's so painful on the outside. It's not really painful. It's painful because our perceptions and our perspectives are being melted away so that we can grow a real dvekas. You hear that sound? That's the sound of the Dukvin and the Nukvin connecting. That's the sound of all of our tefillot doing the Or Choser, right? We sent up Isarusa Dilatata, all these tefillot, and Hashem is shining them back onto us right now.
I was listening last night to Devaria, who's talking about during Noah, and he was saying that that it talks about 40 days of Geshem, and then there's just 40 days of Mabul. And he said that initially still it was Geshem,
Gentle.
it was gentle and things started to grow and stuff like that. And he said that when those things happen, we can say, oh, this is what Hashem gave us, and we're, want to have our life like that, or we can say, oh, that's great, we need Hashem, we have a nice, land, and we can do what we want, and so. It also said that when you skip a little.
Wait, I'm so sorry, but the people on Zoom can't hear us when we're talking. So maybe could you just write it down? Because someone pointed out to me that there's a lot of gaps in the, I forgot, and I apologize for cutting you off. I forgot. Okay, so we go back into the text. ויש לומר העניין, דהנה מובא ביסוד העבודה, חלק ד' א' and ב', בשם הארי הקדוש, our beloved Rebbe and neighbor, דאינו דומה אדם לאדם, מיום בריאת אדם והלאה. Says from the beginning of the creation of the world, there's never two human beings who are exactly alike, even twins. Yeah. ואין אדם אחד יכול לתקן מה שעל חברו לתקן. We cannot, he's saying two things here. He's saying on the simple level, right, he's saying, right, one person can't fix in the world what someone else is determined that they should fix in the world. Beautiful. And he's also saying we cannot do someone else's tikkun for them. We can't even daven their tikkun for them, right? We can daven that they have hatzlacha in doing their tikkun, but we can't do someone else's tikkun for them. We all have to do lech lecha. We all can only go inside and work, right, in our land. This is very common with women. Sometimes we really love somebody and we think we can keep reflecting to them what their tikkun is and how to do their tikkun and how they should do their tikkun, and right? And that really the only answer is to do our own tikkun, our own tikkun. And as we change, the energy of the entire dynamic will change. If they're asking for help, that's something else. If they're asking for support or reflection from us, that's something else. But we still can't do the tikkun for them. We can only reflect if they're asking for reflection. It's not usually helpful if we offer reflection and it hasn't been asked for. We want to as women. But usually it's more effective if we keep doing our own life lesson. And we call that attraction rather than promotion. As we change, we're more calm, we're more loving, we're more trusting, we're more peaceful. The other person is like, what are you doing? Like, I want some of that. It's so, all of this is so profound and so deep, and we want to hold it, Okay. והיינו שלכל אדם יש את ייעודו ותפקידו אותו עליו לתקן בחייו. Each one of us came to fix what we came to fix. ובכלל זה גם העניין המיוחד עבורו ירד לעולם לתקנו כידוע. He says, and this is actually why we came into the world. So you understand how he's beginning to help us shift and reshape. Did I come to get what I want, or did I come to elevate, to grow, to add light? Because that sometimes then the two things look different. If winning to me means I got what I wanted, that's one path. And it could also be taken away from me. Not that Hashem wants to cause us pain, just that's how life is. we will eventually lose everybody we love. Everybody, because it will either be by death or other circumstances. Right? So let's fast forward to the end of the story. We're all going to lose everybody that we love. I say that to free us, right? So that we don't spend all of our energy trying to make things stay, because sometimes they can stay and sometimes they can't stay. But if that's the focus, we can get trapped in that. If the focus is keep doing the Lech Lecha journey, keep doing the Lech Lecha journey, Hashem is going to just keep bringing the circumstances that will best support our spiritual growth and the other person's spiritual growth. Now, I know, believe me, I do not downplay for 1 second that it's easier to say this and to live it. Is we need Siyata Dishmayim every second. And I'm right there in the middle, right, of the, like, I know these places. That's why I can teach this Torah, because I'm teaching something that I know from Alabasal, right? But it's so useful and helpful that he's gently giving us, right, a different kivun. Okay, so he says, in other words, he's trying to say this. He's trying to say, listen, in the end, all of us are going to leave, right? And all of it's going to be taken away from all of us. So if it's today, Chas v'shalom, Chas v'chalila, or if it's however many years, right? He's saying, if that's the focus, if we can be freed from that, to know that all the circumstances in our life are given in order to grow our love. Yeah, say more.
What we were saying before with the, when we went to the perception of it, if we wait till the end of time, and then we look back and say, like, it's almost all heaven, and it's not the closeness to Hashem, don't wait till then.
Right. Thank you. והקדוש ברוך הוא מעמיד לכל אחד את כל הנסיבות והתנאים שיוכל על ידם לתקן את אשר מתפקידו לתקן. He's trying to rewire us to the deepest way, that every circumstance that's coming into our life is only to help us grow, to help us know God more deeply, to help us, ready, love ourselves. What? To help us love each other. ולמלאות ייעודו ותפקידו בעולמו, and to do what we wanted and chose to do here, right? Like, I've been starting to really meditate on this. Like, I'm starting to get clearer that, like, I really came because I wanted to learn about love. And Hashem's like, okay, if you want to learn about love, then you have to learn about the shadows of love, and what inside of you pushes love away, and what inside of you tries to control the flow of love, and that's not loving, to try to control the other party, and what inside of you feels like you can't forgive, and I'm going to invite you into seeing if you can stretch a little more and forgive also that. And how about loving yourself a little bit while we're in the process, right? No, not that, right? Right? Understand, if we want to really master anything, so what do you want to master? If you would take a rough guess in the circumstances of your life, what did you want to become a master at? Because you signed up for the master classes. Avraham Avinu signed up to be a master lover. Yitzchak signed up to be a master of borders, boundaries, knowing how to work within power. Right? He's curious. What is this thing called power? Right? Yaakov was like, ooh, what's this thing called harmony? I love some of that. But we don't just get it. Our entire life becomes about learning by failing, by falling, by getting it wrong in that area. And that's how we become the master of that energy. Right? Does that make sense? By getting it wrong and but he's saying, if we think the point is to get what we want, what we think is going to make us happy, we're never going to be happy because it's all going to be ephemeral and temporary. Well, we might have some temporary happiness. And the thing is, we want it and it's okay. We have compassion. Of course, we want a loving relationship and shalom bayit and a beautiful marriage and healthy, loving children. And of course, we want those things. And Hashem's like, I want you to have all of that. And you will have all of that. But have a vessel for it. That's the first thing. Have a vessel, have means to be able to build and hold all this light. Because sometimes we can get it and it slips away because we don't know how to work with it. Not again, not from judgment. How could we know how to work with it? It's part of the master class. And that trust, it's being offered from love. Right? Because I would get very upset with Hashem because either he wouldn't give me what I was davening for years and years. So in my mind, it was, you love everyone else, but you don't love me. Or you hear everybody else, but you don't hear me. Right? Moshe Rabbeinu could have said that 515 times. What am I asking for already? One thing for myself, right? After I served all these years, right? And he made the choice in the end to choose love, to trust, to choose trust, right? Why did he not daven the 516? Because he chose to step back and say, Hashem only wants my highest good. So if this isn't the right time, I'm going to trust that love and therefore make a portal for all of us. You understand? Maseh avot siman lebanim, that if you're not giving it to me, it's not because I'm unworthy and I didn't daven enough and you're punishing me, or if it gets taken away, it's not because I'm not a good person and it's because it's the next right step in my healing. Ready? Okay.
What we came here to. Whether we know it's our own personal.
What do you long for the most? What do you yearn for the most? Where have you been the most wounded? Those are usually hints and clues. It's like a crack up to me that I, the one who teaches about love and intimacy all the time, I'm not married. It's because this, I'm curious. How do people build relationships that actually last and are beautiful and are trusting and are harmonious and are right? So to fail in something a million times is kind of mastery 101. You have to get it wrong a lot of times so that you learn. And you have resonance that you can recognize when it is right. Because you know what it's not. Does that kind of make sense? But I would say it's always connected to, I think, what we're most yearning for, what we most want to see in the world. And then we're a part of fixing that. I think. And I also think it will usually be the flip side of where you were most wounded. Of where you were most wounded, or where you most wounded yourself, you know? Okay. כל תנאי החיים של האדם בגשמיות ורוחניות, הטובים והרעים, כולם ניתנו לו כפי השייך לתיקון עולמו. שרק על ידי תנאים אלו יוכל להגיע לייעודו. He says, everything you're going through, if it's not having enough money, if it's not having a home, if it's possibly facing divorce, if it's not loving our own body, if it's struggling with eating disorders, if it doesn't matter, it's perfect. Those are the circumstances that will allow us to grow consciousness, to grow all of the siyot, right? To grow love, to grow borders, to grow harmony, to grow balance, to grow power and strength, to grow humbleness, to grow connection, to grow vessels, right? וכיוון שלכל אחד יש תפקיד וייעוד מיוחד, לכך שונים תנאי החיים של כל אחד. He says, because each one of us has a different mission, our circumstances are going to be totally different. So for this person, what they need to grow is that, but for that person, what they need to grow is this, right? So he's saying, please, my kinderlach, stop comparing yourselves. Because your journey is not your journey, is not your journey, is not your journey, is not your journey. And what you need is not what you need, is not what you need, is not what you need. And don't use it as a measurement of Hashem's love for you if your life is easy or hard, or challenging, or simple. Right? He's saying, start to meditate on, we're going to do a meditation soon. It's truly all coming from love. And if we don't believe that, which most of us don't, it's okay. That's the point of our avoda. That's where we go into the avoda, right? If we can't trust and relax into that, then that's actually the invitation into the avoda. Why not? Not from, why not, right? What's wrong with you? But from, ow, ow. That's really scary for me to let that in, Hashem. Why? I'm curious. What happened to me that it's really hard for me to trust goodness, to trust, right, that you're a power of love, that you just want to give love. So many people that I've spoken to since my youngest ages of, being a teacher, right? I'll never forget this beautiful girl, forget her last name, but her name was Sarit. And we had started this camp called Camp NCSY East for girls in the Catskills. And Ari Winter and his wife, Debbie Winter, and myself, we started this camp. And it was a little overwhelming for me, I'm not going to lie, because I always had this thing where I just wanted to hold every single neshama in the world, but I don't know if I really had vessels yet, So my intention was bigger than my vessels. And there was so much pain, there was just so much pain. Just take a whole bunch of teenage girls, you can imagine, right? From all kinds of backgrounds and homes. And then this beautiful young girl, I think she was 16, and her name was Sarit. And I'll never forget what she said. You can see all these years later, we were in the bunk and she was sharing a lot of pain and blah, blah, blah. And I said, something to the effect of, knowing that Hashem loves you and blah, blah, blah. And she burst into tears and she's like, I need to feel Hashem hugging me. It's not enough to have this idea that Hashem loves me. She's like, that doesn't work for me. I need to feel him actually hug me and hold me. And I was like, you're right. You're right. So I gave her a hug because that's what we do. We have to be Hashem's arms and heart for each other, right? Because that's a very tall order, some theoretical force that loves me. How do I know? Right? So we dive in to be that, to be Hashem's arms, to be Hashem's heart, to be Hashem's rachamim, to be that for each other. That goes back to our chabura. Lazeh chayav kalim ulishne hachayim kashim yoter. Like לכך שונים תנאי החיים של כל אחד, לזה חייב קלים ולשני החיים קשים יותר. And he says, this is true whether we have smooth times or rough times. ובאופן כללי, הרי גם כפי הנראה לעיניים, יש לכל אדם את ייחודו של מהלך חייו שאין להשוותו למהלך חייהם של אחרים. It says, Kinderlach, stop comparing yourselves, right? Don't do it to yourself. Well, I got this, but they got that, and that means this, and that means that. It's all perfectly tailored for our fixing. I don't know about you guys, but I needed to hear this a million times. A million times. Like, what about me? Do you forget about me? Do you love me? You know? So, oh boy, do I love you. והוא כיוון שלכל אחד יש תפקידו המיוחד אליו, נותנים לו כל התנאים המתאימים בכדי שיוכל למלאתו. It says, what if you looked around and you woke up? We're going to do this in meditation soon. Get ready, right? And every circumstance in your life, that means the black mold in my bathroom, blah, is there as a gift to elevate me. Doesn't mean I can't move, by the way. It means it's there right now, right? It means I have to deal with it right now. Everything I'm dealing with right now is wrapped in a huge pink bow. For me, the way that I water this belief, because it sounds unreal and it can make people angry. I know a lot of people, this can make you angry because it's like, okay, Riva Muna, blah, blah, blah. That's cute and sweet, but come on. We're in pain, okay? We're like, let's be real. As we said, right? Anshe Emet. We said this morning in our Chabura, right? Let's be real. Let's not be shakanim and shakaniot and mamaim and ra'aniot. So also, when our pain is real, we're allowed to say our pain is real, Hashem, right? So for me, what I've started to do is look back at the times that I thought Hashem had most abandoned me and see that Hashem got me through it. And I really, truly was okay. And not just okay, but I was so grateful that it didn't turn out the way that I had been davening for it to turn out. And that is giving me some strength to go forward. Right? All the times when I thought Hashem didn't listen to me or didn't give me what I want, and only in hindsight was I like, wow, thank God I didn't get that, or that didn't work out that way, or that didn't happen. And also, you did get me through all those times when I thought I would die. And I mean, literally, I am a drama queen, but I'm not being a drama queen in this moment. But I literally thought I would die from a broken heart, right? Or from disappointment or from shame. But I didn't. I didn't. Hashem got me through, and Hashem got me through. It wasn't my own power that got me through, because I would never have been able to have gotten through. So I draw strength from there, right? I don't know now what's happening, but I know you got me through crazy, crazy things that no human being really could survive, but I did survive. Let's finish this paragraph and breathe a little, because we're all feeling a lot. ואף המצבים הקשים בחיי האדם הם גם כן אמצעים שניתנו לו בכדי שיגיע אל תיקונו, שאין רע יורד מן השמיים. I think that's going to be our meditation. Ein ra yored min hashamayim, and as this all this goodness of Torah Netivot is coming down. Ein ra yored min hashamayim. והכל הוא לטובת האדם, כדי שיתקן בזה את השייך אליו, שעל ידי זה ישיג ייעודו ותפקידו בעולמו. I'm so scared, Hashem, for life to not unfold the way that I think it should. And to give up my control, even if it's like through my tefillah. Sometimes we use tefillah as another way to control the outcome. And we don't even realize we're doing that. Real tefillah is dveikut. Tefillah is only about dveikut. We're allowed to ask for what we want because we're human. So we do chashma, we weave in and out. Of course, ask for everything. And at the same time, ask for the strength to want what is really, really the highest good. Because we don't know. We're so afraid. I'm going through something right now. I want something so badly, and I haven't wanted it for a really long time. So wanting it again is making me feel really vulnerable because I've been in a place like, good, I don't even want it. So now I'm strong. Now I am wanting it again. And I'm so scared I'm going to want it and not get it. Right? And Hashem's like, I know. I know. It's okay. It's what Rachel Leah told me yesterday. I don't know, and it's all going to be okay. So I suggest that we take a little break and perhaps come back and do a little meditation. And then I want to give you what I promised I was going to give you. I'm going to end the class here, but we're going to come back to the same link in, what would you guys like, 10 minutes? 10 minutes, good? It's it's 10:39, but 12:39, so beds, and it's 12:40. 12:50, feel good to you guys? Enough time? 12:50? Okay, so we'll come back to the same link. I'm going to end this class for those of you on Zoom. And we'll come back at 12:50 for a meditation before we do some more text. Okay? Okay, thank you, everybody.